I think just to recap Saturday's game, I think a lot of the things that we talked about post game, I think held true when you looked at the tape. I thought that we played at times really good complementary football, where if one side was struggling, the other side was able to pick it up. I thought from a special team standpoint, after that opening kickoff, I thought our special teams played lights out. Best game of the year, but it only takes one, which we found out in the opening kickoff. But after that, I thought they played well. Clearly we got some really good field position in the game, probably the best field position we've had all year in any game, and we just didn't capitalize. And I think that is something that was unfortunate because we had been capitalizing so well through the first four ball games. I think we were 19 of 20 in the red area for touchdowns in the first four games. And then to get this opportunity this past Saturday was 6 attempts in the red area, only scoring one touchdown, and then a turnover on downs, and the rest being field goals. That part was disappointing. So we definitely have got to clean that aspect up. And I think in the passing game, just a little out of sync for whatever the reason is. And I think we threw 3 deep balls or 4, and we hit one. 2 fell incomplete, and we got 1 PI. And so we got to keep taking our shots. But at the end of the day, the run game was the story of the game, which we all know. And I thought it was a tremendous drive there at the end by the offense to solidify the win and get a few first downs and seal the victory. So with all that, we got plenty to work on in all 3 phases, whether that's individual players, individual position groups, or offense, defense, special teams wise, and we're going to need to. Clearly, we're facing a very good opponent in Oklahoma this week. Should be a great environment for college football. Excited for our fans. I'm excited for college football that that the eyes will be on in Dallas, Texas, on this game. And so we got our work to do. We need a good week of preparation to make sure that we put our best foot forward Saturday at 11 a.m.
Hey, Steve, you mentioned obviously Bijan carrying a lot of the load on Saturday. Does that change how his workload looks the rest of this week, given how much you guys relied on him Saturday?
Well, I mean, we'll monitor it. I think between myself, Coach Drayton, and Coach Flood, we've got a lot of experience with dealing with running backs and workloads and how to manage that in specific days and build up to the game. So we'll definitely manage it. We'll monitor it. But Bijan feels great if you ask him. I think he feels really good. I think he came out of the game extremely healthy. He's obviously in really good physical condition. That helps. But that was something, we had challenged him early on, coming out of spring ball, of physically and mentally preparing himself for those kind of games when those games would come up. And he responded extremely well. He really did. And I know there was a level of fatigue there late in the fourth quarter, but I think we can always dig deeper. And I think he's a prime example of that, of how our team continues to dig deeper, like we've talked about. I think that's an individual component to look at, where a guy was able to dig even deeper. That how powerful our mind is. Our body can tell us one thing, but our mind can overcome. And I think that happened Saturday.
Coach, with Casey's deep ties to the OU program, what does it tell you that he chose Texas, and how confident are you that he can keep his focus on there's going to be a lot of distractions. That's going to be a big storyline for him.
Well, I think it speaks volumes to his just kind of own personality. He chose to go where he thought was best for him. And I think a lot of times recruiting, there's a lot of narratives that come in with ties to universities for whatever reason and different things. But ultimately, young men need to choose what's best for them. They're the ones that got to get up at 5 a.m. in the morning and work out and run and practice and do all the things. So I always say you should go where you want to go, because inevitably, as adversity is going to strike, not every day is going to be great. And you got to look yourself in the mirror to tell yourself, I chose to go here. I'm going to persevere and get through. Because the problem comes in when you say, I didn't even really want to be here. I went here because of so-and-so. That's when the portal starts looking really exciting. So I think with Casey's, in his example, he chose to come to the University of Texas. He wanted to be a Longhorn. Through the adversity, through being the backup, through not being named the starter, through that perseverance, I think he was able to get through that because this was his choice to want to come here. The distractions they're not just for Casey. They're going to be for everybody, right? I mean, when you think about it, hey, we're back in the top 25. We're on a 3-game winning streak. Bijan's the Heisman contender now. It's the biggest game of the year. The family tickets. There's all the stuff going on. And I think it's going to be critical for our players, staff included. We got to quiet the noise, and we need to stay focused on the task at hand. We're very diligent in our approach to that. That started this morning and will continue to be that way. And it's one thing to talk about it. It's another to be about it. And that's what's going to be one of the bigger challenges this week to ensure that we play well Saturday.
Steve, you'd previously said you weren't going to start thinking about red shirts until later on in the season, but Hudson obviously did not play this past Saturday or hold. Could you update us on his status? And then going off that, why Zach as your holder?
The only reason Zach was the holder was Dicker just felt more comfortable and seemed to work out okay. 4 for 4 on field goals. That was the reason. Nothing in my mind right now is that we are redshirting Hudson Card. Our mind is we're continually preparing him to play. I expect him to play this year. That's really the mindset. That was not the reason why he did not hold. So I appreciate the question.
For years, obviously, the Oklahoma program has been built around their offense, and everybody talks about their offense, but how good is their defense, and what do you see that they're doing defensively this year?
Well, I think, first of all, they've got a good scheme. Coach Grinch does a great job. He's done it for quite some time in his days at Washington State, at Ohio State, and now here. I think they've built this roster to what fits his defense, which is predicated on speed. They're very active. They're active up front. They've recruited players that can cover and cover well and be sticky. And then it allows him to call it the way he wants to call it. So it's been an impressive transformation from when he first came on board to how they're playing now. So we've got to work it out for us.
Hey, Steve, I know offensive play callers study one another, and you and Lincoln are two of the best. What has he done in your, viewpoint to get the most out of his quarterbacks? I know you guys share Jalen Hurts, but
yeah.
What about him impresses you in developing?
Well, I think one thing Lincoln has done, a couple things. He's done a really good job of over his career, most notably at his time at Oklahoma. I think that he does a good job of fitting his scheme to the players that he has, most notably the quarterback. And I think that's something that a lot of guys as coordinators or play callers struggle with because it's about their scheme and then the players have to fit the scheme. I think he's done a masterful job with the quarterbacks that he's had of tweaking and adjusting his scheme to the skill set that best fits his players and or his quarterback. I think he does a nice job of getting the advantage throws. I think that they believe in running the football, and I think he does a nice job week to week of taking formations and then having, second and third layer plays off of the original play from that formation. And so everything is very complementary. They set things up really well. He does a nice job of calling it that way, and it makes it taxing on your own play caller on defense as well as your players.
Steve, you've been talking about rivalry games. You've been in the Apple Cup. You've been in the Iron Bowl. But everybody here would tell you that, or everybody here thinks Texas OU is the best rivalry in college football. What's your personal excitement level for this? And these games are, widely considered measuring sticks for the program.
Hey, I'm fired up for the game. I mean, you guys know me well enough. I love the pomp and pageantry of college football. I love the history. I love the nostalgia. To think this is the 117th time these two schools are meeting, like that's a crazy number. So from that aspect of it, the state fair, I mean, all that stuff I'm looking forward to. I really try to get there by Saturday. We put in so much work during the week so that we can enjoy the experience on game day. That's really kind of our approach as an organization, but probably that's my approach, so I make everybody else buy into to my approach. So I mean, I'm looking forward to it. I think it's a great atmosphere, great event, great game. Looking forward to it on that front. And I think at the end of the day, the peripheral puts measuring sticks on us of where we are. For us, our process is our process, and we have to wire in and respect every opponent we play and make sure we're putting our best foot forward. And ultimately, week in and week out, we see where we're at. Are we making incremental gains to continue to get better? And I think that when you take over a program, you always want the big leaps and bounds and the growth and all those things. And but for me, the positive has been I really believe that we're making incremental progress as a program in a lot of different phases, whether that's mental toughness, whether that's physical toughness, whether that's style of play, whether that's recruiting. There's a lot that goes into it. But in the end, when you're playing the team that over recent history has won the conference, well, here's an opportunity to basically see where are we at this point. And we look forward to the challenge. Again, this is a good football team, a talented roster, good coaches, and we're going to find out. We're going to see where we're at.
Hey, Coach, a quick housekeeping question followed by another one. Looking for an injury update on maybe Denzel and Josh Thompson and anybody else who may have been banged up.
Yep.
And then you want me to ask the second one, or
I can knock this one out.
Okay.
I probably won't remember it, but if you hit me with both. But Josh Thompson's back. We're good to go on that front. Denzel Okafor is going to have surgery here early next week, which will be season-ending, unfortunately. I really liked where he was at from a leadership standpoint and thought he'd been playing better and better week in and week out. So we'll move forward without him. And I believe outside of that, injury-wise, we're pretty much status quo. No, actually, it was not. I don't want to get into my medical terms. That's not my degree, so I don't. But it is not that, but it is season-ending.
and then the other question is, I know you've talked about trying to connect on a deep ball. I think you guys have connected on maybe 4 passes over 40 yards or more. What are you seeing on film that's going on there? Is it the receivers? Is it Casey? And how do you get that thing going? Because I know you went to deep shots.
I think that, the hard part is I wish it could just be one thing. I think we're so close. I mean, how many times it feels like it's fingertips, right? And I just reminded a couple of the guys today of a line that I read a long time ago when I believed in this philosophy of offense. And Jerry West once said that he was a lifetime 50% shooter, and if he missed his first 10 shots in the first half of a game, look out, because he's probably going to make his next 10. So we're not going to back off of our style of play. We believe in it. I think the guys are close. They're buying into it. We're a diving catch here, a throw there to it totally changing what the perception is of what we're doing. So. But we need that aspect of our game, because that ultimately, with the running game, the play pass, the RPO, those types of things, it ultimately makes us a complete team. As you guys know, I've said it more than once. The more things we can do really well, the harder we are to defend, and that's got to be an aspect of our game that we need to come to life here.
Yeah, Steve, you mentioned the red zone offense earlier, and obviously y'all would like more than 19 points in 6 trips. So when you went back and watched the film, what did you see that was kind of giving them problems and preventing them from getting into the end zone this time around?
Yeah, I didn't love our execution. I'll be honest with you. I was honest with the players about it. I felt like we had some opportunities, and for one reason or another, it didn't happen. And all the way down to the first drive, we have a 3rd and 1. We get a false start. We go to 3rd and 6. We don't block a protection correctly on 3rd and 6. We get sacked. We have to settle for a field goal. So that was like a microcosm of things that we hadn't been doing in the red zone earlier in the season. We had avoided penalties in the red area. We had avoided negative plays in the red area. So that's the key. You know, it's about execution and trusting the calls and then going to making it happen.
Steve, we talked about the quarterback product at OU, and Spencer Rattler, very efficient Saturday, but still 243 and a touchdown. It's way more than that. What do you see from him and his growth?
I think he's a natural passer. He's got really good delivery, accurate, athletic, competitive. He's got all the skill traits, you know. I mean, they're a very talented, skilled group on offense. I mean, they've got great receivers, tight ends, runners. So, you know, he's going to be the key to the drill, you know, because when he gets hot, like he did Saturday, I mean, it feels like 7-on-7. So, you know, we got to do a good job containing him.
Steve, what specifically stands out about Oklahoma's run defense, which I think is like 5th in the country, and how did Darian Dunn grade out?
Yeah, I'm going to go backwards if you don't mind. Just Darian played well, played physical. I think that he's really coming into his own. It's been a really neat process to watch him kind of transform with the transfer from McNeese to spring ball, learning a new system, being here, to operating through training camp, to his play steadily improving. And before anything with Josh had come up, our plan was to rotate Darian in. We felt like he earned it coming out of the Tech game. So happens Josh wasn't available, and I thought he just stepped in and looked comfortable, played well. So that's a positive for us moving forward. Their run defense, this is a talented group up front, and they play a lot of players. It's not just the front line 4 guys. I mean, there's a lot of guys that play. They're extremely athletic, and I think they do a good job of calling things to be disruptive. There's a lot of movement up front. There's a lot of penetration up front. They force a lot of TFLs or tackles for loss. They put you in second long situations and third long situations, which can make it tough. And so, you know, I think the key for us, you know, whether it's, you know, run, pass, whatever we do, our effectiveness on first down is going to be big Saturday.
Coach, with the historical importance of this game, are you planning to reach out to former players like a Ted Coley or a Vince? I know you got Blake on the staff to talk about with the team and the new coaches the importance of this game and what it's like in Dallas.
I get to see Ted every day. He comes to practice every day, so I'm good on Ted, and I get to see Blake every day too. And I talk to Vince at least once a week, so I'm good there. I honestly, our guys know the importance of this thing. They get it. They know, and you know, I always, you know, everybody loves to bring in the guys to come talk to the team at the biggest games. I always feel like maybe you should bring them in on the games when maybe we're not as motivated. But you know, from a mental capacity and understanding the importance of the game and the value, especially for the fan base and all that is involved, the ex-players, I mean, all of that. I mean, our guys definitely understand that.
I wanted to ask you about your big game approach, what you may have learned from Coach Saban and your games at USC and Washington against, you know, UCLA, Notre Dame, Oregon,
Yep.
those kind of things. And do you choose to be more aggressive or conservative and avoid turnovers?
You want my game plan, Kurt, or what?
Well, Mac was very conservative, hated turnovers.
You know, the one thing I would say, you know, I gained a lot from my time with Coach Saban. I really did. But probably the biggest thing I got from him is because clearly there's a lot of big games when you're there, right? You're everybody's big game. Very similar to here. When we wherever we go, we're their biggest game of the year. And I think that trusting your process, trusting your routine is something that he's a master at. They don't change. You wouldn't know who they were playing on Saturday by the approach, by the diligent nature in which the staff prepares, the diligent nature in which practice goes, the focus of the players, and then ultimately the approach of the players on game day. So that's obviously something that we are striving for, you know, is to not get caught up in the outside noise and distractions and try to quiet the noise and stay focused on the task at hand. And that's no discount to the game and how the rivalry and all of that. We respect it. We understand it. But our approach needs to be on the ball game so that we put our best foot forward, put a great product on the field, and put ourselves in the best position to win, right?
Coach Sarkisian, congratulations on the 50th win and continuing the winning tradition here at Texas. Coach, the win and every win is a team effort. You know, we highlight those players who scored the touchdowns, the Bijans, and so on, but is there a group of players or maybe somebody who doesn't put on a uniform that what I would call the unsung heroes, that you recognize them, but they'll never get any attention, that you would call out and say, thank you for being a part of this team?
Well, we do that. We do that every Monday. You know, we give out our players of the week. We give out our war daddies, and then we give out our scout players of the week. And we give out scout players of the week on the offensive side of the ball, on the defensive side of the ball, and on special teams. And quite frankly, they get the best swag. You know, they get the best stuff for being players of the week because they are so vitally important to our success. And we definitely try to recognize those guys. But there's so many people in our organization that have an impact on our players, from our strength staff to our nutritionist and his staff to the training room and the trainers in recovery, and to our analysts and our GAs who do a lot of the grunt work for the coaches to get us prepared for the ball game. So there's a lot that goes into it. And so when we win, it is truly a team win, and we try to celebrate it that way. We really believe in team, you know, and there's a reason when we break down everything that we do, we say team. We don't yell out a number of one player who may have played well, because all of, whether it's individual success or our collective success, all those people behind the scenes are the reason that success was there. And I think we've got a team that recognizes that and appreciates that.
Maybe you could evaluate your defense at this point. I know even with all the points you guys have scored, you came out of Texas Tech a little concerned about some of the deep balls over the top, and then there was the late drive against that TCU put together that really kind of changed the momentum there and put the pressure a little bit back on the offense. So the defense today going into that matchup this week.
You know, I really thought in the obviously the Rice game, I thought we played really well. The Texas Tech game, I felt like the first half we played a fantastic football game in all three phases, and we lost a little mental focus there in the second half, and the ball got over our head. I thought Saturday against TCU, who's they got a lot of playmakers on that offense. I mean, the running back is a fantastic player. They got wideouts. The quarterback is a gamer. I mean, and they got a lot of scheme there. I thought our guys played really, really well up until the last, 7-8 minutes in that game, and where, I'll be honest with you, I contemplated even taking a timeout, trying to regroup them a little bit, almost like basketball, because I could feel it. But I felt like we might have needed that timeout, depending on what happened later, so I didn't. You look back on it, and maybe I should have, but I think we're getting closer to putting together a 4-quarter football game with the right mental intensity, the right focus, that is going to be needed Saturday. You know, that we're playing a team that they're not going to stop attacking us, whether it's on the ground or through the air, regardless of the score. So it's going to take a 4-quarter game from our defense Saturday if we want to be successful.
What have you seen from Oklahoma's offensive line?
Really well coached. They're tough, play hard. You know, I've always appreciated, Lincoln's offenses because they're not a one-dimensional team, and they've got all the run schemes. They're physical. They try to lean on you. They're a run-first operation, very similar to us, with all the things that come off of it. So, and they do a good job of generating that thing and kickstarting it for them.
Sark, as a developer, are you a believer in situational success? Like Casey maybe didn't have the game he had the last two, but hits the ball to Jordan Whittington when you need something good to happen in the fourth quarter, as again, a young quarterback, as far as experience, continues to grow?
Yeah, those are, so there was a couple actually really big plays there late for him. I thought the deep ball to Whittington first, where maybe he's not exactly on. We've all been there, whether you're a quarterback, a pitcher, or whatever. But he hit Jay Witt on that deep post, and then to come back after the third down conversion where we ran it with Bijan to come right back with the RPO and hit Jay Witt for the touchdown. I think for us helps in that's really the next play mentality that we're talking about to these guys about, is that whatever's happened has happened, right? Yeah, we're going to learn from it, and we're going to keep, but we've got to give the next play the focused energy that it deserves, because it's a life of its own, the very next snap. And I thought Casey did a heck of a job of that at a really critical moment right there on that first down, kind of in the high red of hitting Witt for the touchdown when the safety triggered. So I love that. I love the 4-minute drive at the end of the game, because you got to think about a psyche of an offensive line and a runner when you don't score from the 1-yard line 2 snaps in a row. We could have easily been fragile. We could have easily not responded. But, man, there's so many teachable moments there. We got the ball back, and we had to finish the game on offense. We had to go get those first downs. We had to run the football, and we probably blocked the run better on that drive than at any other point in the game. And we were a hat on a hat. We were moving people, and Bijan was able to attack the line of scrimmage vertically and not have to be lateral, and in the end. So there's teachable moments throughout the game that, man, we always try to fall back on. As much as we're trying to correct, we're also trying to build up on when we do things really well.